this thing on? All right, let's pick up where we left off. Homeless, episode 2. I said in episode 1 that this was day 5. It's more like day 8. I had spent 2 nights at a friend's house, and then a night in Taylor State Park, and 2 nights at another friend's house, then a day in Philly. Crashed around Front and Chestnut. I took a little afternoon nap in Washington Park around 7th and Chestnut. I decided that area just wasn't for me anymore, for the same reasons that I said in episode 1, and the fact that it's just a depressing kind of homelessness around there. Too many people around. It's hard to find a place to plug in for electricity, or hard to find a place to take a piss, because you end up in these alleys and there's dumpsters and people are coming in and out, and you're not trying to attract a lot of attention or create problems for other people or any of that. So this is where we're at today, and there's a very specific reason that we're here today. We're here today because last night I left some of my crap here, and then it quickly got dark, too dark to navigate, and I was low on battery power from the phone, and it turned into like an episode of the Blair Witch Project. I was lost in the woods in the dark, and it sucked. It was scary. I'm not a very outdoorsy guy. I was a city kid growing up, and that's kind of scary that I'm just not used to. So I think I'm gonna be able to find it today, because the woods aren't very deep here, but in the dark it kind of all looks the same. Let's go that way. Ooh, arm's getting tired. I need a selfie stick. So when I put up my Amazon wish list, if you're looking to get me a Christmas gift, think selfie stick. All right. Friend of mine, a childhood friend, Derek Frederickson, stopped by. We took a selfie earlier. He may have quite literally saved my life, because yesterday it was hot during the day, and then at night it got pretty cold. It's late September right now, and the bag that I left contained a good portion of my clothes, and what I'm wearing right now, this t-shirt and shorts, is what I got stuck in last night, and that sucked big time. Looks like maybe this is better for the light. Yeah. All right, so around here somewhere, during the previous day, I found a little opening like I see here, and walked in it, and saw a welcoming little area, and stashed something there because I didn't want to carry it, and I separated my stuff into 2 bags, and walked with one until it got kind of dark, and then by the time I realized it was getting dark, it was too dark to buy my stuff. So, all right, I remember coming through here yesterday. Now, see, this is where I think I came through last night. Yeah, and this is not where my stuff is. I'm pretty sure, that kind of looks familiar. I remember seeing a log, like that big log. I thought that'd be a cool place to sit. And, all right, it's all coming back to me now. Yeah, this looks like this might be the spot. Yeah. Oh, I think I see it. Oh, thank God, there it is. All right. Yeah, this was some important stuff. This contained a waterproof blanket that a friend gave me during the beginning of my journey. And waterproof is going to come in handy if it starts to rain. That's what I'm terrified of right now, that I'm going to get caught in the rain with barely any clothing, because that's when you will catch hypothermia and die. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So, yeah, yesterday I then climbed up this little hill and ended up in this cool graveyard. And I forget where the day took me from there. Oh yeah, it took me to the woods where I met that cat. And we decided to start our YouTube channel. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna get off this log because the light isn't making me look too good. And just give me 1 sec and I'm going to grab my shit and get the fuck out of here. Done and done. So, like Derek was asking, I guess everyone's going to be wondering how I ended up homeless. So, oh man, dragging my blanket. Keep thinking animals are chasing me in the forest. This is going to take some getting used to. So, how I got to be where I'm at right now is kind of the story of a girl. Story about a bunch of girls. And one of them is my beautiful 6-year-old daughter, Cadence. She's actually 6 the last time I saw her. She's now 7. And her mother and I have been going through family court drama for about 4 of those 7 years. And if your experience in family court has been anything like mine, then you would know that year 4 might as well be day 4, because it seems like, at least to me, they try to just keep you in court as long as possible and drain you of your money and your sanity and anything else that they can get out of you. And toward the end, I just couldn't do it anymore. I'd been arrested 5 times at least in the previous year, just the previous year. I'd been to court 20 times at least in 3 counties. I've been arrested in 3 counties, I think, all on just bullshit lying charges. This woman learned how to play the family court game because she had become encircled by this group of single mothers who know that game pretty well, and it can destroy your life for a little bit of money and a lot of bitterness and revenge type. It's not incentive. What's the word? It doesn't matter. So anyway, I had finally been convicted of contempt of court. The contempt of court violation, or whatever it was that I had sent an email to her lawyer and CC'd her on it. And I did that, sure, but I wasn't charged with that. I was charged with something else for some other contempt of court issue. But when I got to court, they changed the charges on me mid-trial. And I didn't even know that was possible. I'm not a lawyer, would never want to be a lawyer. But that just seemed shady, and I felt like what I was witnessing was just deliberate incompetence and corruption, and I just gave up. And I think a lot of people do that. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to speak with a lot of different people who've been through similar experiences in family court. And yeah, I didn't want to do it anymore. So I decided on that day that I was done. And that was about a year ago. And I haven't seen my daughter since. I could if I wanted to. All I have to do is just start the game back over. I'd get my every other weekend, 2 weeks in the summer. She would make it as miserable as possible as she could for me and my daughter. She would get me arrested at every opportunity. Just make things up out of thin air. Didn't matter if it happened or not. Didn't matter if I went to trial and was found not guilty or not. There were no repercussions ever for making false accusations. And you can only get arrested so many times when you have a job and have to explain to your boss on Tuesday that the reason you didn't show up or call on Monday was that you keep getting arrested on Friday when you're going to pick up your daughter, and they keep you in court, they keep you in jail all weekend because it's Friday, and you don't get out until Tuesday because for whatever reason Monday is, I don't know, it's not a good day for them to let you out of jail. And yeah, so my punishment was 6 months of probation for contempt of court, and I didn't care about the probation. I wasn't a very good probationee. I didn't show up. I pissed hot for coke a couple times, and they threw me in jail for 45 days. And that was the best vacation that I can remember. I'll go into details about that later, but a lot of people think that jail is awful and you're getting raped to death or whatever, but in my experience, jail is pretty awesome. It's like a big slumber party with a bunch of friends that you knew from the street, and you're eating 3 meals a day, you're sleeping in an air-conditioned bed. I had it better in jail than I have it now, and I was happier. You have no responsibilities, you have no bills to pay, and everyone kind of knows the rules. There's written rules and there's unwritten rules, but once you know the rules, it's pretty easy to get along with everybody, unless you're, you know, a certain kind of person that has trouble getting along with anybody. And, you know, they get dealt with in their own special way. But when I got out, I had lost that job, that $125,000 a year job that I didn't really like anyway. So it was a blessing in disguise. I knew it was a matter of time before I left that job anyway. And, you know, lose the job, quickly lose the apartment. The whole house of cards falls down. And found myself in that situation that a lot of people find themselves in. Like, crap, what am I going to do? Oh, I'll move in with a relative. Well, the relative that offered me up a place was my father. And my father and I have never really been close. He didn't live with us. You know, growing up, I grew up with my brother, who's since passed away, and my mom, who's since passed away. So, yeah, when Dad offered me a place to stay, I knew it wasn't going to end well because we've never had a good relationship. He has some pretty serious psychological issues. He's also going blind. And he's got a nasty attitude. He's a very difficult person to get along with. And I have never had difficulty getting along with anybody. I can get along with people from every race, background, temperament, and that's why I can go to jail and fit in with you know, the prisoners in jail, or I can go to a fancy event and get along with the well-heeled people of that class, or however you want to put it. But yeah, about 6 months in living with him, I knew I would not be there very long, and even told a friend that I was just about to check into a homeless shelter because I just cannot take this guy anymore. And yeah, one day that friend was hanging out with me, and I went to meet her later, and he had some words for me as I was coming out the door. And I just told him I didn't want to hear it, didn't even want to hear what he had to say. I was going to a homeless shelter. I'll be back later for my stuff. He called. All right, that cut off on me, so I don't think we have much time because we have very limited space on the drive. So to pick up where I just left off, he called about an hour later, told me that I was more than welcome to take my stuff to a homeless shelter. And I explained that I knew that because I had just told him that, and really didn't understand the purpose of his call other than to just kind of be a jerk. And I'd be back later to pick up my stuff, and that's what I did. I stopped back later that night. Took about 10 minutes to throw some stuff in a bag. Took that opportunity to give him the 10-minute version of what I thought of him as a human being, which he had done for the past 6 months. He didn't like it very much. No one likes to be spoken to like that. But what I learned from that experience, and some other recent experiences that I've had with other people later, being mean to people who are mean to you, it doesn't serve the purpose that you think it's going to serve. You think it's going to give them the opportunity to reflect on how they've treated you, and realize that they would not like to be treated that way or be spoken to that way, and they would see the light and be a better person. But in my experience, that is never the case. They just get angry and whiny, and yeah, probably would be better off to just take mom's advice. And if you have nothing nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. And so yeah, that about covers it. So that is the super short version of how I became homeless in the woods, and happier than ever because I don't have to deal with those two people anymore, and I never have to see them again, and that is good enough for me for right now. I'm gonna pack up my stuff over there and get back to the shelter that I've arranged for the evening, and I'll check back in with you all soon. All right, so continuing episode 2, how I got to be where I'm at right now. We are at the Wawa that I first came by when the chick that was giving me a ride to Pennypack Park dropped me off, and she suggested Bensalem, and I'm looking at that dude over there. He looks like he kind of sat down purposefully to look at me, and I guess that's okay. Maybe he's just another homeless guy and he's looking for tips. I'll help him out later. So my friend dropped me off at that Wawa, and I was thinking that this area behind me looked like woods, and it kind of does, but what it really is a house that got knocked down or something, and those woods right there are pretty much just someone's backyard. And I staged my stuff right over here while I was looking for a better place when I woke up that day. And when I'd come back in just a few hours, someone had chainsawed through where I was staying. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or not. Maybe they realized that some creepy guy was hanging out in the woods overnight and decided to make it clear in no uncertain terms that homeless people were not welcome to hang out here. But it seems like a lot of work to do. These posts that are here now, these posts were not here the first night. That tree over there had not fallen the first night, and it's pretty obvious someone came through here with a chainsaw and made light work of the bushes where I had stashed my bag. Now that bag contains some important things. It contained a charger for my MacBook, It's the standard MacBook. It's got the USB-C power connection, so they're kind of hard to get. I do have the adapter that can take that USB-C connection and provide standard USB ports, as well as an HDMI input, but that is useless without a way to charge the computer. And I'm gonna fix that problem in just a day or so. I'm lucky enough to have several friends reaching out to me right now to find out if I was serious about doing this, and I've assured them that I am serious, and they've let me know that if I need cash, they'll help me out. So that's very heartwarming, and thank you all for that. And yeah, where do we go from here? From here, I've already searched this area twice for my bag. That bag also contained some other stuff like clothes, a knife, and oh, my razor, my electric razor. I was lucky enough to grab a razor before I left, a regular old Bic razor, and of course that snapped today after I shaved. But that's okay. I've got money to go to the dollar store and pick up new razors, because I'm okay with being homeless. I just don't want to look homeless. I think that's what's got a lot of my friends kind of not sure if I'm doing a social media prank or just joking with people, because they know I'm a pretty funny guy. But yeah, I'm usually the opposite of homeless. I'm usually the guy with you know, all the money and all the toys, and I don't really care about any of that anymore. So yeah, that's where we're gonna leave off for now. I'll check in, I guess, when I settle in for the night, and that'll be a good way to wrap up episode 2. And here we are, wrapping up episode 2. Home sweet home for the night in the jungle. I don't have much battery power right now, so we're gonna have to keep it short, but I wanted to get it in while we still had a little bit of light. It's about to get dark. It's just about 7 p.m. here in my undisclosed location in the woods. Just had some interesting experiences. Turns out that guy who I was jokingly saying might be just another homeless guy was just another homeless guy. And I got an opportunity to talk to him real quick. He you know, seemed kind of shy, so I didn't want to push it or whatever, but it was nice to meet him. You know, he asked me if I needed anything to eat or you know, cigarette or anything, and yeah, that was really nice of him. And you know, I found that to be the truth throughout my life about a lot of people that had very little. They were always willing to share, you know, what they had. So that was just another example of that, and that felt really good. And then got a chance to talk to one of my very good friends, one of my angels, and you know, she's going through her own stuff, so it's nice to be able to be there for someone when you can, even when you know, you don't have a whole lot to give.